Walking bass with chords on the guitar. It's time to walk in lines. That's why they call them walking bass lines. In the previous two installments on this subject, we talked about the cop-out method of using neighboring tones and passing tones. You can also call it a chromatic approach. Now, when we're looking at the basic structures of the chords that we're using, a B flat dominant, an E flat dominant, later a G dominant with an altered extension, C minor 7, F dominant, back to the B flat. Now, each chord has, most of the time, a whole bar. That means 4 quarter notes. And quarter notes is usually what we are walking bass lines in. So when we're going in one bar of B flat to the next chord of the second bar is E flat, let's have a look at which chord tones we can use to make up the bass lines. And we will be using chord tones, sometimes scale tones, and of course we're also still using the last quarter note before the next chord downbeat will be a passing note, or also called an approach note, chromatic approach notes, always from above or below. So for example, let me play you one time coming from the B flat to the E flat. B flat. Okay, so I used the root B flat, then I went to the major third because B flat dominant 7 is a major chord with a minor 7th. So root, third, perfect fifth, and then I used a chromatic approach note to get to the root of the next chord. If I were to start on the B flat up here, I would go the other direction. Instead of going up in pitch, I would go down in pitch to make it from B flat down to the E flat here. So I would have a B flat dominant 7, maybe B flat dominant 7, 9, down to a E flat dominant 7. If you want, you can add to 13. So going from up here, descendingly, it would be root, minor 7th, perfect 5th, approach note to the E flat. Okay, let's go back to the 6th fret. Start here again. So if you're going up, you're going to use the root, third, 5, and then an approach note. So this time, B flat to E flat, root, third, 5, approach note half step above to the E flat to lead into the E flat. Later on, to lead into the turnaround of the form, we will be going from B flat dominant up to the G. So the approach note to the next root will be different, but the rest is the same. B flat, third, 5th, approach note. There you go, to go to the G7. One important thing or rule of thumb to remember is use the same finger for that last quarter note, the approach note in the bass, that you'll use, the same finger that you'll use for the root of the next chord. So pay attention to how I go from the B flat, middle finger because I'm going to be using the middle finger for the E flat root, or middle finger to go into the G dominant 7. Okay, so that's important to get used to, training yourself to use the finger that you will be using for the next downbeat. That means, okay, let's get to that part later with the C minor, which is the only chord that uses the first finger for the root. We'll get back to that later. So let's take it up to this, the walking bass, to where we have talked about. Very slowly, I'm going to play always the root, third, 5, or if I go descendingly, for example, the E flat back down to the B flat, you can go like that, or you could go I generally do the last one that I just showed you. So E flat, dominant 7th or minor 7th, 5th of the E flat, first finger because we will be using the first finger for the root of the B flat. From the beginning, very slowly. Ready, go. Now 2 bars. I'm doing the back and forth for the first bar. 3rd, 5th. 2 bars here, back and forth for the first bar. Line. Oh, we're going up to the G. Down to the C minor. Oops, I made a mistake. Okay, you might already be noticing familiar shapes that you're forming. Always coming from a dominant chord or a major chord, root, major third, 5, and then an approach note. Or if you go down, and down the scale or down the chord tones, root, minor 7th, 5th, approach note to the C. Now C minor now uses a minor third. So instead of using C going to the major third, you can play the minor third here to go to the 5th here. Or you could go play the minor third here. Let me do that again. C minor, root, minor third, 5th, approach note, minor 7th, 5th, approach note. Which brings us to the turnaround. The turnaround, the first time uses 1 bar per chord, E flat. So we're doing the lines. First finger for the approach, minor third. And here's the turnaround that's twice as fast. And again, as in the last 2 installments, we're using just the chromatic passing tones. Passing tone, root passing tone, and beginning of the form. Okay. Let me play the whole form slowly, and then I'll do it a little faster and then very fast to give you some play along pacement. 1, 2, ready, go. A little faster. 1, 2, ready, go. Different position. The last chord, by the way, is a dominant 7, sharp 9, just to give it a little bit of a different flavor. Now, you might have noticed a few variations I played. For example, going back from the E flat, 2 bars of E flat, you could go like this. Let me play it from the beginning of the shape so you know what we are talking about. 1, 2, ready, go. Oh, here we go. What did I do? I went E flat, root. Instead of going directionally down to B flat, I picked it up at the major third of E flat. That's the G. It's a nice flavor. Okay? You can do that wherever you have a dominant shape. You see, again, so it's the G to the C minor. Root third, fifth. So once you know the rules or the guidelines of what would sound good with a walking bass, you can start making your own variations, your own interpretations. That's where the improvisation in delivering the walking bass comes in. And up to speed. 2 times through the form, start on the higher voicing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.